Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another Kickstarter critique where I take a look at a different Kickstarter project every single time and give my honest thoughts on how that project is being ran. And right now, I am very excited to be checking out the most popular project on all of Kickstarter right now. That is Flee Mortals, the MCDM monster book for 5e. What if normal monsters you've already used were more fun to run and ... by Matt Colville. This has already raised $1 million, and I'm pretty sure this just launched on Tuesday, so massively impressive. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind, MCDM, not quite sure what that means. Once again, as always, I like to mention, I've role-played before, but I'm no means a role player. I'm going into this pretty blind, but I always think if a Kickstarter is convincing, I should be able to see it, like, no matter what. And I gotta say, right from the jump, I do love the artwork, and I don't typically comment on artwork too much, but whatever they did, I think it really pops well here. I think this is just a fantastic shot. It tells me that it's a book. I'd like to know maybe the number of pages, the price. Some more information would be nice here, but the bottom line is, I know exactly what it is for 5e, and most people who are into 5e probably know exactly what this is. And I will say, I get the gist based on what they say here, so I think they did a great job in the subtitle, the description, because essentially, this is going to be a book that's going to replace the monsters that are already in 5e Dungeons & Dragons. And they let me know. Boom, right there. So if I'm a role player, I'm immediately intrigued like that. As always, when we go to the video, I'm thinking three things. Do I want it? Can you do it? How much is it? Let's go.
I don't know about you, but I find the...
Holy Jesus, this is 24 minutes! Wow. Okay. Let's go.
Monsters in the core rules to be really... boring. I think we need better monsters. I want some new monsters, sure, let's have some of those, but I also wish the existing monsters, the meat and potato monsters that we use all the time, goblins and kobolds, orcs, zombies, giants, dragons, I wish they were fun to run. Fun for the players to fight. Wouldn't it be cool if it were fun to build an encounter? You know, the actual process of picking monsters to use tonight should be fun. And I think we know how to do this. The only thing we don't know is, does anybody want a book like that? Or rather, how many people want a book like that?
So, essentially, this is a book, and I love this first 40 seconds. He has presented the problem, and he said, hey, I think we got the solution. We're just not sure if you want the solution. $1 million later, yeah, you want the solution. But I love the energy he's bringing into this, the passion, the enthusiasm, the presentation. I think it's all well done. The backdrop looks good. And he talked down to me. He talked to me. I'm a newbie. He talked to me. I understood what it was. I think that was fantastically done.
Hey everybody, Matt Colville here. I run a company called MCDM, and we make products for your 5th edition game. This is the...
Can you do it? Boom! That's what MCDM is. It's a pre-established brand name that I should know if I'm a role player. I've done other stuff before. I'm sure he's going to tell me about some of it. This is great. I love it. So he's getting the easy stuff out of the way immediately. Do I want it? You pitched a general idea, and I think most role players would say, yeah, especially GMs, if they have the time. The idea of creating this, because just giving GMs more control, do they want it? Yeah, they probably do. So do I want it? Yes. Can you do it? Yes, in the first minute. Very well done. How much is it? I'm sure he's going to tell us a lot about it.
Third MCDM Kickstarter, and I realize this is a little weird because the shipping apocalypse is still interfering with fulfilling the last Kickstarter, but that...
Oh my gosh, I love this! Yes, I don't even have to go check. Is the last one shipped? No. And you might be saying, oh, dang, like, I just love how he handled that. Like, it's so transparent, it's so open, it makes me feel even more comfortable in the can you do it. You just told me that you haven't done one of the Kickstarter projects, but the way you presented it to me made me feel like you could do this one even better. And I think that's such a win.
That is slowly getting better. So if you're skeptical about Kickstarter 3 because you're still waiting for your Kickstarter 2 stuff, I get it. You can always just wait until your stuff arrives and then come back later. Even if the campaign is over, you'll be able to pre-order the book on our site. Meanwhile, we've been working on this monster book now for about a year, and we're at the point where it would really help to know how many people want this product.
I love how he did that. And he immediately pivoted to the why are we doing this Kickstarter before we fulfill? Because we don't want to put all this extra effort into this if this is something that's not legitimately what you want. I think that this is just so fantastic so far. I love it.
Obviously, that has a big impact on how much we should spend on it, and that is something Kickstarter is really good for. The last two Kickstarters, Strongholds and Followers, Kingdoms and Warfare, both appeal to a specific style of play. But everybody loves monsters. So this is the first MCDM monster book, and I encourage you to watch this whole video because not only are we excited about what is in the book, but we're also excited about how this Kickstarter is going to...
And I love the fact he just kind of broke the fourth wall and said, yeah, I know this video is long, but trust me, it's really good. I don't have a problem with that.
work. But first, the monsters. I think this is everything we're good at. I think MCDM has established a reputation for having killer art, but also taking seriously the idea that the design should reinforce the fantasy. You know, for instance, you think about goblins, and in your imagination, there are these little creatures that are sort of goofy, but also kind of deadly for a low-level party, and you imagine how they might work, and you get excited to use them in your game. Then you look them up in the rules, and you're like, oh, is that it? It's kind of boring. Our design starts with the fantasy.
So he's quite literally, and this is coming from my board game perspective here, saying, yeah, we're going to add more depth, more gameplay, more thematic flavor to these monsters. We're adding more theme. So here's the question. Do you want more theme in your role-playing game? Like, yeah. Like, it's like, that's the whole reason we're here. I love this video.
Fantasy. We literally have a meeting where we figure out what is this monster about? What makes this monster cool? Why do people like it? How do they imagine this monster in their game? Then we map out both a visual design, what does it look like, along with...
Just a quick show note, side note, I would love to see that. I think that would be a really cool update. If you're like, hey, here's one of the actual sit-down sessions we had where we discuss, or maybe, this is cray-cray, you get yourself a Kickstarter one and you say, all right, we're going to do it live. We're going to get on the Kickstarter update section or comment section or whatever, and we're going to get this bad boy live. We're going to do this right now. I love this video.
The game design. How does it play? So our design, the visual design, the game design, is all about delivering on that core fantasy of whatever the monster is about. For instance, this is an MCDM... Wow. This is an MCDM goblin we came up with, and I personally am very happy with this visual design. But this isn't the MCDM goblin. This is a goblin sniper. Just one flavor of goblin. That's how we make building entire encounters fun for you, the DM. We give you a lot of different kinds of goblins.
I love that example. 7 goblins versus 7 goblin snipers. There's a huge difference, a massive difference, and it opens up storytelling so much. You don't have to be a role-playing wizard to see that. I love this.
We got goblin warriors, sort of the default goblin, and goblin snipers, goblin curse spitters, it's their version of a shaman, and more. Each of these goblins have their own abilities that make them each different and fun to run. That is the core principle of this book. The monsters can do cool things. They don't just have a weapon and multi-attack. They're not just a big bag of hit points or, damn, that's a lot of spells. Right? I hate that. I hate when I want to run a Dark Elf Spellbinder or whatever, and it's literally just a huge list of spells, most of which I'm never going to use, since this creature has a life expectancy of 6 rounds. Animal friendship. If I'm a paladin, a barbarian, and a warlock, I'm going to be dead in 90 seconds. What am I supposed to...
All right, I didn't understand anything he just said, but I love the fact that he's going that deep in the weeds, and if I did understand that, I'd be like, yeah, preach. I can imagine that.
to do with animal friendship. But also, I do not have every spell memorized, and I bet you don't either. Like, I know Fireball is 8d6, but off the top of my head, I can't remember the area. Actually, it's a 20-foot radius. That's a bad example. But lots of these spells, I have to go look up some detail in another book, and that is a huge pain in the ass. We do use some spells in here, but generally we prefer to say, here are a few cool special abilities, all of them are useful, and you don't have to go look anything up. Even the lowly goblin has different abilities depending on the...
I am so sold on this, and I want to reiterate, he showed us one monster. It's the goblin. This is just great. I love this level of transparency and openness and just detail.
Of goblin. Not a lot of abilities, it's still just a goblin, but the goblin spine cleaver has more hit points and gets an extra attack sometimes. The goblin sniper can sneak to get the drop on the heroes, and all goblins have this basic goblin trait, crafty, which allows them to move out of your reach without provoking attacks of opportunity. And that makes all goblins highly mobile little ankle biters. Doesn't matter which gobbos you pick, they are all crafty. So each time you build an encounter, you can choose different goblins. A scouting party might be all goblin snipers and one curse.
Completely agree with Sean. He said you can always tell when something is a passion project. It has that extra spark in these videos. I will agree to a certain extent. If you don't put a personal touch in your video, it doesn't, which is why I love the personal touch. I think seeing you talking about your baby is just, it can sell. It can really sell.
Bitter. Another scouting party might be one goblin spine cleaver and a bunch of goblin minions. And this is where we introduce some new design, or rather, some old design redesigned. The idea of minions goes all the way back to the 1970s when fighters got one free attack per level per round.
This is so in-depth. I'm going to start skipping some chunks if he keeps talking about goblins. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with this. It makes me want this book if I ever consider setting up and role-playing and doing that sort of thing. Like the amount of knowledge and depth that he's going into just goblins. This is going to have presumably much more than just goblins, but we spent the first 4 minutes talking about goblins, and I think it kind of works. You know, because I think most people are probably already convinced, and we still haven't seen anything.
Against any enemies of one hit die or less. Even back then, the idea of letting PCs cut a swath through a sea of enemies was developing. Minions are almost as nasty as a normal monster, but they are very easy to kill. In 4th edition, this meant they only had one hit point. But that don't work if you literally just port those rules over. 5th edition doesn't work that way. So there are no minions in 5th edition. But gosh, wouldn't it be cool to have a whole horde of goblins or zombies or kobolds for the heroes to fight?
Wow! He just went at the 4E elitist. And once again, I hang around this world. I live in the board game, the nerd world, the tabletop role-playing world. I know there are people out there. There's a very select minority that believe that 4E is still better than 5E. They still play 4E. And you're appealing to them as well with this. Like, this is... I just love this.
Even low-level heroes?
And yes, I think that deck box campaign from, I think it was like the Wizard or something, the Magician, last week is comparable. I don't have a... I'm coming around to long-form videos, but you gotta do them well. You gotta do them well, or else they're just a slog.
Yes, it would be cool. So we redesigned the minion rules to optimize them for 5th edition. They've already gone through several rounds of testing, which means we've got goblin minions in here, so
love mentioning the playtesting.
Your players can feel badass fighting a ton of goblins without making a bunch of work for you. Minions should be easy to run, fun to fight, and if you want to see how all of this is going to work, you can just download a sample with all of this right now.
Yes!
We've already spent a bunch of time and money developing these.
Yeah, how many times do I say this? I feel like, bring it back to the board game perspective, when people have it on Tabletopsopia or Tabletop Simulator, and they don't mention it till the very end of the Kickstarter page, that's something to spotlight, because there is online gaming, while not for me, I'm trying to get around to it, is huge. And it's only going to presumably continue to get bigger as it gets, easier to do. And I think Asmodee just purchased something. But I love the fact that he's spotlighting that. Oh yeah, you can check it out. You can try it right now. Just go down below. Awesome.
These ideas, so you don't have to wonder if you would like this book. You can download the free sample with like 15 monsters in it and see for yourself. Now, I say 15 monsters, but that includes like both a generic goblin boss and a specific, unique, action-oriented goblin queen. Remember action-oriented monsters? Very popular video, very popular design. It has successfully improved a lot of DM's game.
And I also want to mention one thing. Part of the reason why I think his personality is popping so much is when I was doing the internal research, when I was setting this up, I'm pretty sure he's a very large YouTuber as well in the D&D scene, which explains the camera friendliness.
This book is the extension of that design. Lots of creatures in here come with a generic version and an action-oriented version for when you want. I go to other fantasy games, usually fantasy war games, because for some reason, fantasy war games are allowed to have really cool monsters in them, but the game we're already playing does not. Like goblins in 5th edition, just a monster. Maybe there's one or two variants in another book somewhere. But goblins in a war game get all sorts of cool stuff like little beasties they breed and big goblin monsters. Why can't we have that? Well, now we can. We use goblins as the example for all of this, as you will see in the preview, but we are picking several classic monsters, including goblins and orcs and undead, and presenting them like factions. Each one should have a bunch of variants to choose from. Warriors, archers, spellcasters, brutes, but also there should be kobold critters.
I love that idea, and I love the fact that really opens them up to nearly that is so much they can do there. This is really, I like this
Orc
video.
war machines. Why can't we have cool stuff like that for our game? Well, we can, and we're doing it. In the free preview, we got goblin skitterlings, these little creatures the goblins use in battle, and when I say use, I mean like throw at you. And a goblin war beast, a giant spider, which, giant spider, that's nasty enough. But this one is specially bred to be a goblin artillery platform with a bunch of goblin...
I would love to see these pictures, but the way he's describing them so vividly, it's like, it's just as good to me.
Archers riding on it. Isn't that cooler and more fun than just like a normal goblin? You can use this stuff in your game tonight. We already designed all this stuff and tested it for months. But as important as testing is for us, we have contract testers we pay every month, and we have a small group of volunteer testers.
Wow.
As important as...
He is hammering home how hard we play tested this, and I love that.
All that is, nothing beats real world use. So you folks are part of the open beta. Download the preview, read it, try these things in your game.
And there we go. He just flipped it on its head. You get engaged. You be a part of this process. It's not just, oh yeah, go try it out. Read it, have fun with it. No, it's like you be engaged. Love it.
Game and let us know what you think. We got a whole Discord channel just for this project. How you use all this stuff will inform revisions. So you can check out the new goblins in the preview right now. But you'll notice there's some other stuff in here. We got the Lightbender, which is our version of the classic Fey cat beast, along with a Lightbender companion. That's another big part of this book, companions. Anytime we think the PCs might reasonably want a pet version of a monster, we make a companion for it. Obviously, some monsters would be way too powerful for a PC to have as a pet. So imagine if someone hit one of those monsters with like a shrink ray. They have the flavor of the original, but they're balanced for a PC pet. This is awesome. A new player option we developed as part of the Beast Heart design, but in fact, that is backwards.
So, oh yeah, by the way, this is our other book that you might not have, so you should totally buy it as well when you get to that shopping section. I love it. I love it. I love it.
We developed the Beast Heart as part of this monster book design. James and I sat down a year ago and we thought about what new rules our monster book should have, and then we went and designed and tested that stuff last year. The companion rules were part of that, along with minions. So the Beast Heart class was actually part of this project's development. But you don't need to go buy those companion rules to use this book. The rules are included in the book. They're included in the free preview PDF.
Whoa.
You can read them right now. Now, it's not just better versions of
Even
old monsters.
better.
There are new monsters in here too. But the problem with new monsters is I've worked on monster books where it was just, let's invent a bunch of new monsters. And most of them are just too weird or slightly different versions of monsters we already have. And it's hard to figure out why I should.
And once again, we go back to point A. Hey, here's a problem you might have. Love this formatting.
Use one over the other. I don't want to do that. I don't want to create new monsters just for the sake of creating new monsters. Any new monsters should have a reason for existing. They should expand on the stuff you're already doing. So for our new monsters, we're focusing on environments. Not like biomes, but places where encounters usually happen. I've run the game a few times, and so has James, and all the designers we work with, and we have a pretty good idea of where combat tends to happen. Like in the city, in a graveyard, in the catacombs, in the woods, in a cave. There's a list, right? And some of these environments are pretty universal. Most games eventually feature one or more of these. So when you're running the game and the party's in a haunted forest or a city or a ruined keep or whatever, there is probably an environment for that in this book with a handful of new monsters for you to use to create a quick...
That work thematically. I go back to that. We're adding more theme to your game.
Memorable encounter. I'm not just talking about new skeletons for a graveyard. No, these are new monsters specifically for these environments.
I love that. No, we're not giving you that basic crap. We're going out of... and I bet she's going to hit us with an example. And I bet it's going to be a good one.
Like the Corpse Collector. Is your party in a tomb or a mausoleum or a graveyard and you're tired of skeletons and zombies? Well, first, we got better skeletons and zombies, but that's not enough. We throw in this, bone mech, a big machine created by a necromancer to collect corpses.
That sounds awesome.
Want to try it out? The Corpse Collector is in the free preview. You can use it right now. This shows you how we think about monsters. We want more big monsters. There aren't enough normal monsters that are huge that the heroes can climb on top of as they fight. So, new monsters specifically designed to give you more options for the places.
And I love that. He just, if I had a character that was agile and quick and fast and jumps, he just, ding, ding, ding. Oh, that sounds cool. By the way, thank you, Chiron. New dad, everything's good.
Your heroes are going anyway. Better versions of old monsters with more cool abilities and less reliance on just more hit
He's gonna put up
points
another
or
finger.
Oops, all spells. More versions of the meat and potato monsters so you can run an entire adventure with just kobolds for your first level party or hobgoblins for your fourth level party without ever getting bored. Action-oriented monsters that can challenge an entire party by themselves. Monster critters and monster war beasts. What does a kobold war beast look like? I don't know yet, but I am dying to find out. Monster minions, so your party can fight an entire sea of undead and feel like heroes without getting totally overwhelmed or bogging down the game. Monster companions, so your players can adopt a baby griffin or whatever. Monster retainers, for when your party manages. They're the example we picked for the free preview. But we're going to have a ton of monsters in here, including classic high-level bad guys like an evil MCDM squid dude or an MCDM vampire. Sure, there'll be an MCDM Death Knight, can't wait for that, but aren't there 3 other knights missing? Don't we deserve to see the Plague Knight and the Famine Knight? Entire Kickstarter to be done, the book written and arted and printed, before we can ship you your minis. Instead, we're going to be making minis of our monsters.
Whoa. Okay, so I immediately have my first issue with this campaign, which is the fact that I didn't find out there was minis until 13 minutes, and the minis are not on the main image. I think at the very least just telling me that there's going to be minis, especially if you're showing me. Because remember, at the very beginning, I'm not particularly an art person. Yeah, and this is the main image right here. This main image just drew me in. I thought it was so well done. And if you tell me there's going to be minis of all these monsters, oh, don't even get me started. So I feel like that should definitely be in there. But wow, that's okay.
Monster cool, and we put all of that into both the visual design and the game design. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You will recognize the basic gameplay. We're just trying to make it easier and more memorable. This is maybe the single coolest thing MCDM has ever made. Actually, that's not true. The single coolest thing MCDM has ever made is Zoronox, a unique named action-oriented overmind. Look at him. He's got like ceremonial armor.
There's the mini.
So this is the limited edition mini we are doing for this Kickstarter. We love making minis. It's a huge part of our business and also part of the fun of working here. But we don't want to bake in like 20 minis or even 5 into the Kickstarter because then we have to wait for the entire Kickstarter to be done, the book written and arted and printed, before we can ship you your minis. Instead, we're going to be making minis of our monsters the entire time. Not part of the Kickstarter. We're just going to make them and sell them whenever they're done. So that by the time the book is finished, there'll be lots of minis
that's why they're not there. Shut my mouth and listen.
already in the store based on the monsters in here. But we also like doing something unique just for the Kickstarter, and that is this incredible Zoronox Mini from Jason Hasenauer. We're only making a few thousand of these, and once they're gone, they're gone. We'll make a mini for the regular everyday Overmind later, but it won't be Zoronox. It also comes with the eyeballs. Ooh, floating eyeball things. I can't wait to paint this thing. So check out the free preview. If you want a whole book of this stuff, pledge now. Pledge now. Feels like I'm on an NPR pledge drive, but yeah, pledge now. Because we're doing this Kickstarter a little differently. Like, we don't want to wait for the whole book to be done to let you use these monsters. There's no reason for that. The book is going to be developed in batches. We're going to work on a few monsters until they're done, then move on to the next batch. So if you back this Kickstarter, then once a bunch of monsters is done, and I mean designed and edited and play tested, but not arted, then we'll post them in an update for people who backed or pre-ordered later, and you'll be able to use these monsters as soon as they're done.
That's
in other
cool.
words, if you back the Kickstarter now, you don't have to wait for the book to be done to use it.
That's awesome.
I think that's huge, and it will result in better monsters because we'll be able to tweak stuff based on your feedback. There's going to be about 300 stat blocks in here.
Get engaged. Once again, I go back to that. Get engaged. This is not just a Kickstarter where I'm going to give you my money and leave. And I love this.
And obviously this book is going to have a ton of amazing art. That's sort of our thing. But the reality is writing and illustration have very different schedules. And there's realistically no way we could art every single entry in this book and get it in your hands next year. So not every monster will get art. Like, do we need new griffin art or a new visual design for a skeleton? Probably not. But an MCDM squid dude? Yeah, I want to see that dude. We like doing a new shirt for each Kickstarter, so we got this incredibly sort of old school shirt featuring the Overmind with art from Jason. I love this. I love everything about this. This shows you what the whole book is about. That is a way cooler version of something I already have. Folks love stickers, and Arcadia is hugely popular, so you'll get a dope new Arcadia sticker.
So I love the fact, and I love this. I love this formatting where you're telling me the pledge levels. Like, I'm getting to know nearly everything in here except for the prices.
Sticker included as a freebie with your order. This will also be in the store, by the way, if you just love Arcadia and want a cool sticker, you don't need to back the monster book. So around 300 monsters, including new monsters and classic monsters redesigned, delivery of the hardcover book by the end of next year. If we don't unlock any stretch goals, I'm pretty sure we can get you the hardcover book before then. But if we unlock every stretch goal, then your book will have a lot more content in it at the same price, and that takes time. And next year is a safe bet. But the future is...
So one of the biggest issues that I consistently hear with stretch goals is that if you have good stretch goals and real stretch goals, they extend the time between you getting your game. That is one of the major issues that I've heard with stretch goals for years, for like nearly a decade, since Tasty Minstrel Games. I think they were the first people to really start using stretch goals, started to do it, oh so long ago, and they just said, oh yeah, we see this is a problem, but we can solve it. Here's how we're going to solve it. And you couldn't do this with board games, most likely, but this is just so awesome.
It's uncertain. We certainly didn't imagine COVID or the shipping apocalypse back in 2019. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the dinosaurs came back and decided to reclaim the Earth. But if you back the Kickstarter now, you'll get the monsters as each batch rolls off the assembly line. Now, there may be things about monster design in 5e that you're not happy with. But like I said, we're not trying to redesign the entire game here. There's a handful of new ideas in here, but some are just about simplifying the language to make monsters easier to read. Like, a lot of monsters can target a creature with some debuff that ends on a successful saving throw. Cool, good design. But do we have to say every time that creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns, ending the effect on themselves early on a success? Every time? That's a lot of words for one simple idea. We don't want to change how that works. It's perfectly good design. We just replace that creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns, ending the effect on themselves early on a success with save ends. Then we just explain what save ends means once at the beginning of the book. That's 2 words.
Okay. So the fact that D&D is written like that pisses me off. Because I critique rule booklets. I have a Fiverr where I go through people's rule booklet and then I just give my honest thoughts on it and how I would make things flow, because I've read thousands of rule booklets. And pretty much what he just said there was, yeah, we just did that. We just did that. And I love that. Streamlining. Less redundancy. Beautiful.
Save ends instead of like 24 or whatever. And since those 24 words appear over and over again, it saves a lot of space over the entire book, and I think it is easier to parse when you're running combat. Or like, some people don't like legendary resistances. Okay, neither do we. But they're part of the core design. Goblin to do it, right? That's way better than just, you fail. We've taken legendary resistances from just, you fail, it sucks, to a more good news, bad news design. Like, remember the Overmind? This is a...
I feel like at this point we might be overselling a bit. I'm in. I don't see... I don't feel like anyone got to the 18-minute mark, heard that, and was like, all right, fine, I'm in. I feel like you got him way earlier than that.
Powerful telekinetic creature, so he's evolved these little floating eyeballs that orbit him. The action-oriented Overmind...
Now, this makes me also wonder if this is just a YouTube video as well. And unfortunately, with GameFound would have let you just pop in a YouTube video. Kickstarter does not. But I'm wondering if that's maybe the case, too. Because this feels like it'd be the kind of thing where if you saw this and you were a fan of that YouTube channel, I immediately click on that Kickstarter link.
Zoronox, the Tyract, has legendary resistances, but he has to sacrifice one of his floating eyeballs. This is going to be interesting. Well, the first 2 stretch goals they're pretty straightforward.
Whoa! Dang it! This is why I don't like skipping so far. So we're talking about the stretch goals now, which once again, yes, these are things that I always love. The more information you can give me in a video, the better.
Balls that orbit him. But he has to sacrifice one of his floating eyeballs to get a bunch of enemy parties. I don't know if you watched The Chain of Acheron, but like the Black Iron Pact or the Grim Accord from Arcadia. These are action-oriented parties with at least 5 unique characters, all with unique abilities and art, and there's going to be one of these for every other level from 1st to 13th. Each enemy party will have their own background and identity. So that's 7 enemy parties, which means at least 35 new enemies. 5 characters in each party, 7 parties, and they all get dope art. Okay, that's stretch goal 1. Stretch goal 2 is layers. If we hit $1 million, we're going to make layers with maps and treasure hoards for all the action.
These are banger stretch goals too. Thanks for joining, Kyron.
Oriented enemies in here. So our Goblin Queen and Zoronox and every other named villain in this book will get their own little 1-page dungeon or tower or whatever.
So the corpse collector, that's awesome.
With encounters and unique treasure hoards. So when you kill the monster, you get a bunch
of... And this completely coincides with what they were saying earlier. You know, we need to know how much we're going to do in this book, and it's based on the stretch goals.
A dope loot. Each treasure hoard is custom made for the monster in that layer. Now, I think $1 million is, it's obviously not impossible, but I'm not sure it's likely, because each Kickstarter we get smarter about how we do this. That first Kickstarter did gangbusters, and then the second Kickstarter did less. But that's partially because we figured out we should be charging for shipping and backer kit. That meant the number everybody is watching, how much have they raised, was quite a lot smaller in the second Kickstarter.
Very important, because Kickstarter takes 5% of that, and I think if Stripe takes another, it gets eaten.
Because it didn't include shipping like the first Kickstarter. But also, we don't have 21 minis in this Kickstarter. We don't even have 5 minis, just 1. So there's way fewer opportunities for folks to give us money. So we're not going to hit $1 million unless there are a lot of backers. Oh, I said interesting? Yeah, okay. So I don't know whose idea this was. I think it was Jerry's, but it might have been Lars's. This is pretty insane. If we get to $2 million, a number we picked because it seemed basically impossible, if we get $2 million, the third and final stretch goal is...
Okay, I want to stop by saying I don't care what the third stretch goal is. I am so sold on not only the product, but you, that I want to see this succeed. Like, I am now invested in this. I am going to be keeping my eyeball on this to see if they hit $2 million. And that's so well done. Because I had never heard of this person or MDSM at all before this. And imagine if you were a diehard fan. You would really want to see him hit $2 million, because what's this going to be?
The campaign for North Africa. This is why I've had this box over my shoulder for months now. If we hit $2 million, we will live stream our attempt to play one round of the legendary SPI war game, The Campaign for North Africa. Aren't you glad you watched to the end? I said only one round. We might play more, but only if we actually like it. Whether we like...
So, okay. That one's not really a banger of a stretch goal, I don't imagine, to the overwhelming majority of people, but I imagine to his fans. That's fantastic fan service. Perhaps this is a running joke.
Like it or not, we will stream one round of Campaign for North Africa if we hit $2 million, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, there is a link in the doobly-doo. Now, keep in mind, one round of this...
Go watch one of my other videos that my fans know about. That's good stuff. Because not only... I honestly love that, because he just did something really clever there. He just made me want to click on his YouTube link to go to his channel. And I already like this guy. So imagine if I'm a tabletop role-playing game fan, and I'm going to buy this book, and I like this guy, I like his personality, I like the spark, I like how much he knows about role-playing game stuff, and he now just sent me to his YouTube. That's so clever. That's brilliant. Beautiful. I feel like I just can't get enough of this video.
This game is supposed to be something like 10 or 15 hours. So this is not just like a game of Dune or Nuke War or whatever.
Okay. So it's a long game. He's going to play a long game against $2 million. Okay.
And one round of this is a major undertaking. The Campaign for North Africa is a legendary war game from long-defunct legendary war game company, SPI. It is famous for being the most ambitious, most detailed logistical simulation of an actual World War II campaign, the one between Rommel and Monty, the Axis, and the Allies in Libya and Egypt. It's so detailed, which is not the same as complex. We'll see how complex it is. It is so detailed, it is supposed to take about 1,500 hours to complete the whole thing. That's 187 days, playing 8 hours a day. But that number is, no one's ever played the whole, literally no one has ever played the whole thing. Just the map is 13 feet across. What is that in meters? 4? That's 4 meters. Just the map.
He just converted the currency. He just converted the conversions. I love this man. He just converted the inches to the meters and the... Sign me up.
There's 1,300 chits in here. I own this because I grew up hearing about it. It's famous among a certain generation of wargaming nerd. It was a prop in an episode of The Big Bang Theory. It is legendary. So I bought it off eBay, and it's been sitting here at MCDM for years. And every time somebody sees it, we open it up. And even Matt O'Driscoll says, "This looks insane. We should try it." Well, that's up to you. What does this have to do with a monster book? Nothing. We just think it would be cool and kind of insane. It's fun. It's just a fun idea. Kickstarters can also be fun. How do we get to $2 million?
Yes, they can.
I have no idea. I don't think we will. But if it happens, it'll be because...
Somebody go tell a lot of board game companies. who forgot that and use it strictly as a pre-order system, which good. That takes away the chances that they're going to go out of business because they make a faulty decision. I get that, but they should still be fun.
We got a lot of backers. It'll be because you shared this video and you told your friends, and they're...
Sean said best, most clever, and genius stretch goal ever. I don't know if I'm going to go best. I will agree with genius and most clever. I would go with those, but best, like, after the first two, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this going to be? What does he need $1 million more to do? And I was like, oh, he's going to play like an 8 to 12 hour war game. I'll do that. Like, I do that for funsies. I mean, if I had that game and I had a 13-foot table or a 4-meter table.
They're either 5th edition GMs who want more monsters, or they're old school war
Okay,
gamers who really want to see somebody play CNA on stream. Outsource. We take on more projects for you. We have no investors, no shareholders, as long as you...
All right, this is why you need to back. Okay. I see why this was raised $1 million. That was one of the... The ideas presented in that video are some of the best ideas I've seen presented in a video in Kickstarter. It was so well done. I think it got too deep into the weeds in many parts, but I think if you're a fan, I think you loved getting into those weeds. Like, it's like when I see an asymmetrical game and then there's a video diving into all the asymmetrical special abilities, I say, awesome. I love that. I just don't want that necessarily in the video. You know, so I think maybe this was a bit too long, but it was so well done. All right, so 3 created, 47 back. Can you do it? Yeah, you can. Like, we got a bunch of people here. It makes sense. I already know the last one's not out, which means this one presumably is out. But I'll double check, see. 2,118. Fantastic. Good engagement. International packings begin shipping next week from 2019. So we're good. On the Can You Do It? Yes, obviously. They look at all those links. They're using the space. The Reddit, the Discord, the Twitter, our other Twitter, the Patreon, the YouTube. Why not? Why not have all those there? I want to know more about you, Matthew. Hey, everybody. My name is Matt, and I run MCDM Productions. We're a small company of ex-video game developers who produce tabletop gaming products and the YouTube series Running the Game. Our first Kickstarter campaign was to create strongholds and followers to supplement for 5th edition. Our most recent Kickstarter was successfully funded to develop the follow-up book, Kingdoms and Warfare, and this is just so in-depth, into the weeds. I designed the official Knights of the Dinner, and then he did Red Alert, Star Trek, Starship combat game. So if it designed other oh my gosh, so well done. Monsters of 5th editions are fun to run and fun. Click here to preview the monster book. So we're not beating around the bush. We get straight to the preview if I want to check this out. 24 pages of action-oriented monsters, retainers, companions, and minions. There's more. Are these the same things? What's in the book? 300 monsters, action-oriented. I'm just here for the price. Just hit me with that price already. Download the free preview. Is this the same thing as well? No, these are all different things? No, they're all the same things. You're really hammering home that preview. 3 clickable links in the first 2 paragraphs. Might be a bit much. A Toast to Toast. We got a pretty picture. Old monsters, unboring. We love all the classics, more options. So now you're kind of just regurgitating everything you said in the video, which is fine because you don't expect everybody to watch the 23-minute video, presumably. But I would like the price. I've sat through, I think it should just be bam, whatever the price of the book is. Then the price of the book with the mini. And the price of the PDF, just the pledge area. Look at that. That looks awesome. Corpses, swap, new rules, got it. This feels like a jalop right here. Retainers, monsters in batches. If you back the Kickstarter and your pledge includes the monster book PDF, we'll send you each batch of monsters. Yeah, we've already, this is all the stuff. Here we go. The cool book, anything else. So this is, not a big fan of the pledge area. It's why not just have a picture of what the front of the monster book is going to look like, presumably. I mean, it's clean and clear, so I can't complain there. So $40 for the PDF, 300 pages, whatevs. $70 for the hardcover, plus the thing, plus the sticker. And then it's so clean and clear that $200 gets you the mini. And if you buy the mini, you have to buy the shirt. So some people are probably going to get annoyed about that. I've heard epic tales of that game. Would so watch the one round that spans multiple hours. LOL. Yeah, I now want to try that game. And here's the thing. I think of that game and I immediately think of my buddy Adam. I'm like, Adam would totally play that. Lucy would totally. Alan, I could actually probably get. I don't know if it's a 4-player game. I've got the group for stuff like that. I need to look into doing more really long gameplay videos. It's just they're really hard to record, so I have to stream them. At least in my the way I currently do it, I shoot on an iPad. This thing is huge. It's like 95 millimeters. Love to know the inches. Convert the inches. You did in the video. New pin. So this is the high pledge area. Stretch goals. You told me about the stretch goals in the video. They're awesome. I will say, I'd love to see an image here, a picture of these stretch goals. While it lacks some pizzazz, I do like how clean and simple it is. Yeah, I agree. Now this, I'm not a big fan of the stretch goal area. Like, just, you got artists, and I know they're probably working hardcore on the book, but look at the industry standard, because not everybody is going to get to what was the 18-minute mark of your video. So I think this could definitely be more exciting, because how many people are going to see the first... Honestly, and this is the double-edged sword I see with that video. I see people saying, all right, we just talked about goblins for 5 minutes. I got to get back to work. All right, people are going to think I drowned in the toilet. You know, and maybe they don't come back to it, but they're interested and they backed it. And then if they come down here and read it, it's a lot less exciting here than even the way you presented it. And I think just some artwork and some text. Like, go look at some of the most popular tabletop games and just copy that format for those stretch goal areas, because those stretch goals are a banger. The first two. Third one, very decisive on that one, but I think it's a brilliant idea, because what is that? What is this? No, you're taking me to the game. Where's your... Oh, I thought you presumably talked about it in a video. Oh, so it's not sending me to a YouTube video. Okay. Well, all right, so there's... okay, so here's the other thing. There's no shipping area either. Now, let's see if it's covered in here. So the PDF, $2,627. Yeah, you're convinced. Great job. $70, 7,032. Beautiful. Fantastic. Congratulations. Then we have the $100 hardcover book. Did we even mention a hardcover book? Where's the... Oh, it is there. Sorry. Yep, glance. $100. How many people want that? 2,116. That's still a pretty large number. The Big Bad Box Bundle. Now, this one is limited to only a certain number. I thought it was only a couple thousand. I thought they said there was a limited number. I'm kind of glad there's not, because 1,578 people are giving you $200 for a book, a sticker, and a mini. Fantastic. Because you talked them into it with that video. Great job. Do we really want to keep this? But so let me tell you, this has to include the stretch goal. Tell me the shipping. Tell me the shipping. No, it doesn't include the shipping here. Don't like that. Shipping not included. Taxes not. So, but you still gotta let me know what the shipping price is. You're shipping a book and a mini. You know, let me in. Let me know. Especially with the book. I'm assuming what? It's like $10, $12 tops. Give me an estimate. Ballpark me, because this is an easy one to ballpark. You presumably know the size of the book. Maybe you don't know exact thickness, but you know how you're probably going to ship this book. Ballpark me that estimate. And this once again, this honestly reeks a lot of not looking around the room and seeing what industry standard is for Kickstarter. But then at the same time, what you did just crushed so damn hard, you could be potentially setting the industry standard. And I do. I think these long-form videos, as long as you're entertaining to your audience and engaging and energetic and exciting, I think they can absolutely work. I mean, just look no further. But then I think I'm still waiting for to combine with that with the industry standard too of just, this is not a very fun story. Like, if I just skip straight from your video, like I don't do the video, I just go to the story, I think I'm a lot less excited about this project. Rival Adventures, Laird and Horde, Campaign in Africa. So we did it. There's just no shipping sections. That's a full half grade drop for me. You gotta have something. If you're shipping physical products, FAQ. Really? Nobody's curious about the shipping? I'm curious about the shipping. Updates. $1 million. 23 backers, 4 backers, 21 backers. So let's see what the most popular one is, and let's see what the least popular one is. They said one thing there that kind of scared me when they were like talking about their Discord, and I was like, Discord. Like, hopefully they're not steering people towards the Discord. Discord blackout. You want the engagement. You're number 1 on Kickstarter right now. You got your 100,000 Twitter followers, your X number YouTube followers. They're here the first few days because you crushed it in that video. But for everybody else, I'm curious to see how long this is going to stay at the top of the popularity chart, especially with the way they structured the stretch goals. Because that first stretch goal is hit, or the first 2 stretch goals are hit, the 2 exciting ones, and then the third stretch goal, as someone who doesn't watch that video and see and really, kind of fall in love with this guy and how he presents talking about Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing in 5e. I just get the story, and I don't think the story nearly does as much legwork as your video does. And so I'm curious. Let's just get to the updates. $1 million. Hey everybody, Matt Colville here. We're making layers and unique treasure hoards, so you hit the stretch goal. Also, I think Also, I just think if you kill a named boss, you should get some dope treasure, normal stuff like gold or valuables, but also cool, unique items. Back in the day when you saw the Holy Avenger in the core rulebook, you'd be like, holy shmoly, how do I get one of these? But then you'd buy an official adventure and find out the treasure in the core rules was weak sauce compared to this stuff, so that's the idea. We thank you folks. We'll be very happy with the results. This is my third Kickstarter, and every time I'm completely gobsmacked by the outpouring of support. So people share our voice. Before the Kickstarter, there's this sense of better not jinx it. Don't get excited. Maybe folks are happy to be the monsters they get, but now we know people want it, which means we get really excited. So now they're teasing me with another idea. Is that idea going to be in the book? Is that the next Kickstarter? Is that a stretch goal in between $1 to $2 million? What is that? I'd like to know a little bit more info. So that's the last book-related goal. This is dope as books get, barring any brilliant ideas. So, how much is that? How much are you doing there? So I'm a little bit curious there. We'll start uploading FAQ questions soon, probably tomorrow. Not that we have a good idea of what questions are people asking for about shipping. Meanwhile, it's time for me and James to sit down and plan the first monster packet. Super looking forward to that. We got a big outlet stuff that's a long way to Africa. Hey, MCDM, would like to ask you for making the specific treasures for unique boss loots. If you might add some sort of flavor text so we have people just engaging because they're so excited. They're giving them ideas. Beautiful. Not responding to any of the ideas, so not a big fan of that, especially with how many people you had there in that, because once again, this is your most popular comment with 23 people, and you're not even asking people for ideas, are you? These are just people so excited about what you're doing. So the engagement on this, I'm not a big fan of this update. Let's go check out the one that only has 4. Because that's a Garbo update. And yeah, you got 117 hearts, whatever. That's because people love your video. They love your personality. But 4 comments tells me you're not engaging anybody. James Intrican here again. Thanks you so much. We've raised it so that I think that's the artist. Or another person developing in this. But I like how they're leading off with their names instead of typically putting at the end. Let me know what you think about that. Rival NPC parties are coming to Flea Mortals. If you're familiar with our actual book, so this is we hit the stretch goal. And if you answered the quest, monsters... no, come chat about them with Kickstarter. No, Discord and subreddit. No. And once again, we want to know why we have the lowest amount of engagement on this one? 23, 21, and then 4? Because you quite literally told me, hey, get the hell off Kickstarter. Go over here. Now, granted, I understand. Long term, your company, it's way more valuable to have them on Discord and your subreddit than it is on here. But, short term, popularity and magic track. Next Tuesday, you're going to get your ass kicked down a couple spots. It's just the law. I mean, that's just pretty much how it works on Kickstarter. Every Tuesday, that's when big projects launch, and you get bumped down on the popularity and magic track. Unless you can find ways to keep people engaged with your Kickstarter project. And you have ways that you're presumably doing that, but sending people to Discord, I always recommend Discord blackout. Get people off Discord, get them on the Kickstarter updates in the comments section, because that's what Kickstarter wants, and that's how you stay up high on those charts. 2 million hype, and once again, you didn't respond to any of these people. These are just people excited. Like, there was an idea and excitement. So not a fan of those updates at all. Not a fan of the story very much either. Like, that video, it's like, I went to bed with a 10, and now it's like, all right, those numbers going down. Okay. People excited. Where's those green rectangles? Where's those beautiful green rectangles? Not much engagement at all. Wow. 21 hours, and I know people sleep. But you had 4 or 5 collaborators. Where are they? This is just a Wild West. Okay, so... Final grade. Flea Mortals, the MCDM monster book for 5Es. Do I want it? Yeah, I do. I feel like that video, I feel like they did a great job. I think if you're a hardcore fan, he addressed the problems. He told you how he's going to fix the problems. He provided his pedigree as to how he's going to fix the problem. He might have pointed out problems that you didn't even realize. He talked to the 4E crowd, for God's sake. He said, 4E people, you got this problem? Guess what? We fixed it. I love this. C+, B-, yeah, Sean, and it's I was on the A train after this video. I was like, this video is so well done. But it's just, the more I think about it, if you don't sit through the entire video, and you go through the story instead, it's not a fun trip. I mean, it's not a terrible trip, but no shipping, You know, just lots of text, no fun pictures of the pledge levels or the stretch goals, just paragraph about stretch goals. It feels like a jalop project where they just regurgitated everything from the video here, but it's not as pretty as a jalop project. So do I want it? Yes. Can you do it? Yes. How much is it? Once again, I think for what you're offering, this seems reasonable. This is presumably a book that you are going to have and use for the rest of your life. But you only gave me half of how much it is. You told me the price. You didn't tell me the shipping. That's annoying. That's a full half grade point drop. I just always do that. You gotta tell me the shipping. So, final grade on this one. Everything was a yes, asterisk on the how much is it, but honestly, I don't think that's going to turn most people off because the video was so well done. But then that story was just not a fun experience. So I think Matt and James did 2 Q&A live streams where he answered about 4 hours of combined questions. That's fantastic. And hopefully they use that, put it into a robust FAQ. That's great. But the shipping, I mean, that one's just inexcusable. Like, that is just... You look around, it's like, all right, everybody talks about shipping. We all know shipping's crazy. We all know that you don't know the exact price of the shipping because it could change, but ballpark me. I'm going to go with a B on this one. I think that, because honestly, that video is an A+, aside from the length. But if you actually sat down and watched that video, which I imagine a good portion of his audience did. Also, if you're just a role-playing game fan, I think when you hear him talk about goblins for 5 minutes, you say, okay, this guy gets it. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with a B on this one. Flea Mortals, the MCDM monster book for 5e. Honestly, a polished story away from an A or A+, in my opinion. But it's so unpolished, that story section is just so not fun. I'm going to bump it down to a B. But let me know in the comments below, what is your final grade for Flea Mortals, the MCDM monster book for 5e? And just to always clarify, this is not a grade on the product itself. That product looks like an A+. It looks like a banger. This is a review of the Kickstarter presentation of the product. Because I don't want people coming at me with the torches and pitchforks. I always get them, especially on the popular projects. Not a review of the product. Review of the presentation. But anywho, if you enjoyed this content, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. Or if you want to check out this project, check out the Kickstarter link down below. That's the wrong window. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube. Wow, I gotta go live in 8 more minutes, so come on to join that one as well.